Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Comics Unlimited. This is a podcast that talks about comics and talks about the history of it. One of the things that is really kind of uh, everybody's gearing up right now for speculation. You're seeing all these movies, and you're seeing all these exciting things with TV and Werewolf by Night had Moon Knight in this way back in 1975. And what is this speculation thing all about? Why are people grading comics and putting them locked away so you can't read them anymore? What is that all about? Why are we so hyped on the value of these rare books? And how can you read them if they're all locked away? We're going to talk a little bit about that today. We're going to talk about the benefits of speculation, the slippery slope that speculation is for comics, and the love for our hobby that might be dying.
Welcome to the Comics Unlimited podcast with your hosts, Glenn B. Fleming and Ted Davis.
Hi, everybody. Hello, I'm Ted Davies. I'm known as an artist and author, as a few other things. I'm best known for Retrieve, my book Retrieve, my book series. How about you? Who's this guy with the New York City hat on?
I'm Glenn Fleming. I'm a writer, artist, publisher, and I wrote this thing that you've all got to get. It's on Indiegogo in demand right now. It's about my trips to see Jack Kirby, and with it, you get a DVD of the man himself talking and Jack Kirby.
Absolutely, it's a great document. It's a great document and a testament to the man, and not just the myth. So fantastic work there, Glenn. I want to say good morning to everybody. I want to talk about our awesome sponsors, Cashman's Comics down in Bay City, Michigan. Check out everything that John Cashman's been doing with comics for the last 26 years. He sells my work. He's a big supporter of indie comics. Of course, he's going to be selling this masterpiece here that we just released on Amazon, Comics Unlimited. Make sure you get a copy of that. It is an awesome, what I like to call Love Potion number 9, because it is an awesome book. It deals with a lot of different things, especially George Perez and Neil Adams and their memory. But anyway, John Cashman, check out everything he's doing at CashmanComics.com. Say hello to Petey, the guard dog, if you're lucky enough to be in Michigan and stop by the store. Any of your comic needs, check that out. We also want to say hello and thank you to Common Grounds Coffee, commongrounds.coffee. Actually, go to them, check out everything that's nerdy about them, with like Make It So Espresso and Second Breakfast Blend coffee. I'm drinking Awakened Dragon, which is my proprietary blend that they sell. And you got to get some of this, man. We got to send this to you. If you want some, I got to say, Ted, can you send me some? It's only going to cost me okay, sure. It's only going to cost like $45 to get you a pound over there, right? Just to send it. But I do that for you.
Don't have any control over that, unfortunately.
I'm going to send it certified, so you have to be there, sign for it. Okay. But anyway,
I'm sure Helen will enjoy drinking it.
Oh, good. Well, that's worth it. I'll do
it.
But
I would try it. I will try things. I just prefer tea.
Commonground.coffee, and use Caffeinate Ted 2022 as your promo code and save 10% wherever you get caffeinated with them. So that's about it. We were going to have a guest on today. Pete Ryan actually had he's having technical difficulties. Something's going on with the internet, and it's just one of those mornings, internet's not working for him, unfortunately. So, but he might be in the queue. We'll kind of see how it goes. Like I said, he's had just one of those mornings. So it will affect it a little bit on the show of what we're going to talk about with speculation. But I think this is going to be more than just one conversation. This is going to be 1 hour of what we're dealing with. As far as what I'm dealing with certifications and that type of thing, with speculation, and just the overall effect and the feeling of comics. Is it dwindling? How does this affect people that collect these books? Is it ruining the feeling?
I've said before, I can never understand no, let me just take that back. I do understand what they do in slabbing them. If they're pristine or very old or whatever,
Yeah.
I understand the way they're preserving them and all that kind of thing. But the thing that gets me, like you've said before, and I quite agree with you, you really need to be buying 2 copies, one to read and one to put away if you're that way inclined. Now, when I was buying comics, there was none of that kind of thing, that slabbing kind of thing. There was no preservation of these things. These things were just there.
Well, we're lucky that we have the quality that we do now, because they were rags. They were considered rags. It wasn't. Who would have thought?
I mean, I read that the ships that used to come from New York to Liverpool used them as ballast.
Yeah. So I mean, that's
newspapers and comic books. So think of all the gems that would have been on that dockside at some point.
Oh, right, right. Absolutely.
Because I remember reading that some of the dockers used to take their kids down there on a Thursday, and they'd just take the pick of all these comics.
Sure.
And they probably threw them in the bin later anyway. So
right. Or use them to heat the house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Coal was expensive. Hey, if they had kindling, Real quick, let's say hi to everybody. Pete is in the audience, so that's awesome. I'm glad that he stopped in. So if you're on, Pete, just go ahead and we'll kind of interact that way. Carl, Donna, thank you guys for stopping in. Eric Hawkins, I'm glad that you're here too, man. I know how big you are as a comic creator and a collector. George Medina. George is a force to be reckoned with. He's been on my show. I love George. He's great. You guys check out everything that George is doing. Follow him on Facebook as well as Instagram and I think YouTube too. He's part of Catch the Craze. They're awesome. Okay, Pete. So let's say he is super disappointed and it's a shame. But like I said, that's just technical stuff. It's not a big deal. I know that it would have been a little bit deeper conversation, but we'll handle. We'll pivot. That's what we do.
We shouldn't be too disappointed, really, because like the comics, we can always come back to it. So it's
right, right.
But you can't come back to it if it's in a slab.
Right. Well, I mean, here's the thing, and full disclosure, Pete and I have been friends for a long time. In fact, one of the things I was going to state is, Glenn and Pete, I'm in business with both of you guys, and that is it's a real testament to me being partnered with, 2 people that I really think are just excellent people. And in an industry in comics, it's so important for me that I've got that type of level of friendship and partnership in business. So Pete owned a comic shop for many, many years, and that's actually how we met. He was my comics monger for quite a while. And anyway, but we become like brothers, and he's just a superb guy. Glenn, it goes out saying how I feel about you, but as far as having both of you in the comics business with me, fantastic. So Pete has a huge opportunity that he allowed me to buy into, if you want to call it that, to move this huge collection of comics that he has. And that is something that we've been doing, and people that are on this in the audience have purchased quite a few of them. But we've got a particular, and I think that you appreciate this, Glenn. We've got a particular way that we're trying to preserve the main, if you want to call them grails, but things that are going to complete people's run for their lives. They've been trying to get these comics for decades, and there may be only 1 or 2 that are available. That's why we're looking at slabbing, those type of things, to preserve them for the future, and not just from a monetary standpoint, but from a preservation standpoint.
I think that you did right. Still think there's always going to be like a 2-tier look at the comics. There's going to be people who aren't bothered about collecting them, and therefore wouldn't be slabbing them and just treat them as reading material for the whatever duration. And then there's going to be people like us who want to keep the collection. Yeah. And then there's people like you. I mean, I don't slab, but the people like you who want to take that a bit further, because like you said a few weeks ago, we're the custodian of all these things.
We're stewards. Yes, absolutely.
And we we're preserving them for the future. And okay, there might be some money aspect in there, but they will last a lot longer if they're slabbed, and they'll be worth more later.
Yes.
And we can pass them on. I mean, and the last thing we want is all these things to disappear, literally disappear.
Right. And I want to talk a little bit about that, and Pete can jump in on this too. We're going to talk about our situation that happened with certification on one of our grades of a comic. Pretty high money investment on our end. But one of the things that you and I both love about comics is that we can still read them. Now, digitally, it is different. I'm amazed at what we can do digitally. Even Comics Unlimited. Whoops, both of them. They're on Kindle now too, on Amazon. So you can get them digitally as well as a hard copy if you guys so decide. Or if it's easier for you. I mean, that's why we set it up that way, because we knew that's kind of like buying 2 copies of something in my eyes, because you've got the one that you can read digitally if you're on a subway or whatever, or you've got the hard copy. And I like there's something tangible, there's something tactile about a book.
Makes it real, doesn't it?
Everybody, I think, in this, and I'm sure people that will watch us in review will agree with me on that. There's something about it. There's something about the paper. One thing about, if I can toot our horn here, with this Comics Unlimited series that we offer quarterly, the interior pages are like newsprint, durable newsprint. I love that. When I open that up, every copy that I get, I'm like, and I was telling Christine, I'm like, check this out. And I said, he said, you see how that is? And I brought one of the older comic books out from when I was a kid. And I said, this is awesome. This type of feel. I mean, I really you did an amazing job laying that out.
I think it's 100. Yeah, that's why I set it on 130 gram paper.
Yeah,
it goes up to 300 gram. I think could be really, really nice. And I thought, no, that's not. It's like when you showed that the Neil Adams article in number 9 with that side face where all the color is out of register. That makes it real. That reminds me of the comics from the 60s and 70s that I read that were the printing was crap, and now everything's so pristine. It's like a DVD. It's like a CD over a vinyl.
It's very sterile. It can be very
sterile. Yeah, sterile. And it's. I mean, the sound quality of CDs is fantastic, but
right. It's all
too sharp.
It's the right. Good morning, Jody. I'm glad that you're here too. I'm glad that you showed up, because it's going to be a really good show. But one of the things about, and Pete will jump in on this too. One of the things about, I think that we're obligated, we're privileged, but we're obligated to preserve, not, in architecture, it was funny because I would go into homes and people would remodel the homes for the next owners. And I never understood that. Why wouldn't you remodel it for yourself? Yeah. You know what I mean? Do it for yours and then resell it. Let them do whatever else. I mean, make it nice curb appeal. But with this type of thing, with what Pete and I were trying to do, as well as other people in the industry, we're preserving something. So let me go through that real quick. You're the put a couple of like the New Gods or whatever. You got the New Gods there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you something. All right, we're going to compare notes here. So the New Gods that you have, tell everybody when you bought that.
I bought this when it came out in 1971.
Okay.
So it's 50 years old.
It's signed?
It's signed by Jack Kirby.
Check it out, guys.
But
I'm going to bring that up in full screen.
But the cover is loose, obviously. I've got the back,
but it's all complete.
Yeah.
Look at that, guys. I mean, that is history right there. Now, you won't be able to see that if it's slabbed.
Yeah,
it would still be a complete book, but you won't be able to see that. So when I buy that book from you, I'll be able to enjoy that. I don't know if I'm going to slab it though. That's the one thing. Now this one, what we've got here is it's not slabbed, but it's a top loading sleeve.
Right. Okay.
All right. So it's in plastic. It's in archival plastic with backer board. We can open this. I don't want to do that because I don't want to get a bunch of spine ticks and everything else and get it worn down. This is pristine. This one, though, is not signed. And it's in such a perfect condition that I think Pete will agree with me, should be put in a slab. Because this particular book, I think we need to do that. I think I mean, you guys pipe in, let me know what you guys think. But this type of I don't know, category, this type of book, I think we need to do that. I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that if you've got a situation where you've got like this Werewolf by Night, this is where the rub goes, and this is Pete will jump on this term too. When you invest in this type of book to begin with, and then you send it out to get graded, if you've got people that are in the industry for 50 years, 40 years that are telling you that it's going to score it came in at a 9.0 before you had it pressed, before you had it cleaned, before you had it professionally, not restored, but just prepped before it goes into. So always have it pressed, always have it cleaned by a professional. And then when it comes back at no higher than what was stated to you before,
there's a problem there.
That's a problem. That's a huge problem. And
well, did they know it was a 9 when they slabbed it?
When we sent this in, and this is not, I'm not bashing CGC. I'm just stating that there has to be, on these grading companies, there has to be a third party stability. They have to be so non-biased, just like Tony Ingram in our books.
Yeah.
He's an amazing writer because he's non-biased. It doesn't matter if it's DC, Marvel, Dark Horse, whatever. He writes it to what he experienced. With this type of book, though, and Pete, this is your time to jump in, man, since you're in the queue. A 9.0 versus a 9.4, 9.6, and 9.8. Tell him, Pete. Tell him the difference in cost, or what the difference in sales power of this book. And this is this particular book in itself is a gorgeous, gorgeous copy. I mean, we've got one little mark on the back. That's it. I mean, it is white pages, which is a big thing. But I'm not doing it to sell this book. I'm just saying that you guys have to be careful when you're speculating about things, because it can end up biting you. You guys can look up the prices on Werewolf by Night 32 and a 9.0 or 9.4, 9.6. But when you've got to be prepared for that, because it might come back at a lower number than what you thought. And that could be something that, you're spending money before you get it. You're thinking you're going to get.
Yeah.
And what if another company graded it higher? Do you crack that open? Do you crack that one open and send it down? What do you do?
Yeah, that's a problem.
But ultimately you can't. I was glad that they reissued this book at Free Comic Book Day last year. I got the copy of that, and I could read it. I could enjoy it. I could still read it. This one I can't. This one we had it raw when we discovered it in the collection, and we had it verified and everything else. We took it. We hand delivered it to our guy that does our pressing and cleaning, and even he was. It's a fantastic 9.0 is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but even he was disappointed. He was like, this is not.
Better,
I mean, and Pete will. I don't know if he's having a problem making the statement, but it's a difference of tens of thousands of dollars. And all it is it could be somebody not having a good day on Friday, or wanting to get out at 3:00, on Friday.
Yeah.
You never. I was my dad designed cards at Ford. He says you never get a card that was built on a Friday. Never buy one.
How would you know?
Well, they've got dates. They've got the dates of when the card inside the door. Usually there's a statement panel. They used to have them in metal. Now it's just, decal, but because people are trying to get home, trying to finish up for the week and get out. And that could be, I mean, there's a lot of fluctuation. I'm not the only one to state this. YouTube has a huge slew of videos about this. But it sets a precedent that it's hard to digest, because you don't know, who's buying this, who's going to buy it now. We can't sell it on this site because they won't buy it, because they won't buy anything or help us sell anything that's 9.6 or higher. If it's 9.0, they won't sell it. I'm like, okay, That just blew our market. So, and these are big investments. These are $300-$400 to get them slabbed. So you have to really think about that. Now, you can't enjoy the book. I mean, I can't enjoy the book like that. I look at it now. It's like, man, look what we could have done with this, but now it's slabbed in here. Do we break this slab open? Do we have somebody else recertify it, which costs another $500 to,
You see, it's like any art. I went to London to not specifically to see, but when I was down there, they were showing Leonardo da Vinci's cartoon. Did you see that? Have you seen that?
Yeah.
He's supposed he is supposed to. He's probably the oldest preserved, I would have thought. But he's supposed to be the first artist to draw a cartoon. And you went down this corridor, it was pitch black, and you got to this little point and you press this button and this green light shone on these pencil drawings from 500 years ago. And after about 10 seconds, the light went out and you had to move, and then the next person. So it wasn't in daylight because it was fading all the time, and in time it will disappear. Like everything will disappear in time. And I thought, and since then, I'm not sure whether it's on show now, but when they archive it, it's in a box, behind a box, in a box, to keep it black, darkness, so it doesn't go away. Well, I always think it's like the as far as I know, Popeye from the 30s, the cartoon
eats my spinach. Yep.
I read a few years ago that the original film of that was so brittle that it could only be computerized once. Yes, they could capture
I read
it.
That
so I hope they've done it because it's not getting any better. So in 10 years from now, it might be gone completely because they didn't digitize it. Yeah. So it's where you draw the line with, like with the Leonardo thing. To me, if you're not going to show it, you might as well throw it in the bin. You should show it so that people now can see it. Do you understand what I mean? Not keep it hived away for 10 years.
Yeah,
they should
well,
show
I agree
it
with
now.
that, or get it, or get it to the point where it could be presented in a natural environment, daylight, because of the UV protectant and everything. Yeah, absolutely.
Or like with the Popeye, get them digitized, get them on film, on digital, so we can all enjoy them again. And if the original, that's like saying we can't print the Fantastic Four because we haven't got the originals. We've got the negatives, but we've not got. Well, it doesn't. It's a different thing.
It's a lost. Yeah, that's a lost argument. Yeah,
and it stops people seeing it. So preserving these things in slabs is a good idea, but that depends what your intentions are as a collector.
Right. John Celestry's in the house too. Good morning, John.
Hi, John.
Ryan Permission, thank you. If you guys could like and share this out for us too, I think this, and please, Jody has a real good point here. Prestige shouldn't matter for older books. If you have any book that is scarce, it should be slabbed for preservation. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Grades only matter to investors who may never read the book.
Yeah.
And, Pete and I were going to discuss this today too. And I think you can jump on this, Glenn. We've got to be a collector does not mean you're a flipper. You don't just buy you get these on auction. I see this a lot. You get these on auction. Guy's never read the book, never seen it. It's the first appearance of blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And he flips it for a profit. I mean, he says he's a collector, but he's not. Hasn't read a book.
See, I've never bought.
Don't like that. Yeah.
I've never bought anything for what it might be valued at in 10 years from now.
Yeah.
I buy it because, I've got this. Let me show you this.
Yeah.
This is from 1967. This is the one I bought from Page's News Agent.
This is great. This is awesome.
Look at that.
That's freaking awesome. Is the cover still on it or no?
Yeah. This is. It's not pristine, but the cover's still on it. Everything's on it.
And what's that one? The brand Ick? What is it?
Not brand Eck.
Eck.
It was like a parody of DC. Well, parody of Marvel and DC. They've got Superman in it and things like that.
Okay,
it's
cool.
really. And the first one, of course, is Kirby. Dr. Bloom.
Yeah,
there he is. Look.
Awesome.
And it's such a really. It's just a.
And I'm glad you kept them. I mean, see, I consider you a collector because you've. The one thing that I really respect about you is that you were, pardon the pun, in the trenches. Literally, you kept these things, and you're the real deal. You're not somebody who bought them at a garage sale because you thought about having it when you're 8 years old. You didn't find them now, and now you're in the basement somewhere. These are things you've been with you all through your life.
I've told you the sad story. I'm sure everybody's got one
Yes.
of my mother throwing them away. I would
Yeah.
be a millionaire today if she had,
Multiple.
you know.
Yeah,
I
multi-millionaire
had
easily.
Spider-Man #1, fantastic. I had a lot,
Yeah,
but I
Ryan.
don't now.
Ryan Permisson, thanks for sharing this out. Pete's actually in the audience. He's having some issues with the internet, Ryan. So we're going to have him back on. We're going to talk a little bit more in detail about this. One thing I did want to talk about was, Pete's jumping in here for a minute. Let me put this on here. It's difficult to ignore the comic investment market when comics have beat out the stock market in the last 50 years, and it's the truth. Let's put it to you this way. All right, so Pete. All right, this book, because we have it graded, we'll put this back on. Sorry, let me get. Okay, so we got this book graded. This book originally in 1975 cost $0.25.
Wow.
This book now is selling on our Facebook page for $5,500, but $5,500. But that's a steal because we are actually lower than the market value. The market value, insurance value on this book is $9,000.
Wow.
So, I mean, the market share is incredible. These are retirement types of investments. And so, yeah, I'm with you. I want you to enjoy the books. I'm not saying that. But yeah, and that's you can live in both camps too. I collect and invest. And I think that's what we should do. And that's why Pete and I are in business together, because we see the value in it, but it's only valuable if you are part of it. You know, you're a collector, not a flipper necessarily. I think collectors can be sellers. I don't mean that. But if you're just doing it to churn and burn,
Well, with hindsight, I wish I'd taken such as this. This is my Forever People #1. And it's not signed by Kirby. I should have taken more. Yeah. I should have taken more film and I should have taken more comics. But I didn't get him to sign them because they might be worth something. I wanted him to sign it, you know, because it's his name, obviously. But this is the #1. Still got the cover on. It's probably, I don't know what the grading is. I don't know about grading.
That's
but
okay. It doesn't matter about grading.
It's a nice condition.
That's good. And see what you enjoyed them though. And I'm getting back to that. And you might, if you had the money back then, you probably would have bought 2 of them. If you would have thought, hey, this might be worth something. I do that now. I buy usually 2 of everything now for certain things.
Yeah.
But you can't necessarily on some of these variant covers. And Pete, you know, everybody can jump in on that too. The variant covers, I know Eric has an issue with some of the variant covers, and I agree with that. Some of them are so ridiculous. I like Bill Sienkiewicz. I like Mike Mignola. I like the variant covers. You see some of my Moon Knight collection that they've got, or Wolverine that Bill Sienkiewicz did. Variant covers, very limited production. I love them. And that's speculation too, because they cost more. You think later they're going to be worth more, not necessarily. So you might end up losing money.
Of course.
But you better enjoy the artwork for what it is. I enjoy the artwork. It means a lot to me. And I know that somewhere down the road, somebody else will enjoy it too. Yeah. Or maybe I'll meet the artist at a Comic-Con, have them sign it. You know, this is part of collecting. This is part of what I appreciate. I want to get into a couple of the other speculation things too.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Ryan Permission. If I ever find Kingdom Come #2 graded, that won't break my wallet. I'll be happy. Well, we might be able to help you out with that, Ryan. We'll talk to you about that. That's why that's why Pete says you buy 2 copies of everything. All right, Jody. It's not about ignoring. However, the investment aspect of the market has problem with modern and recent books with false demand, speculation based on the factions that should not. And yeah, I agree with that. I think some of the hype, and I'm going to talk to you about that. Now, see, I think that there's a balance to it, because like right now, a lot of things are going on with what I'm, him and all the rest of that. When they turn to Warlock, this is definitely going to be a book. And this is a speculative statement. A lot of people are going to be jumping in on Warlock stuff because he's already been cast. I think they already filmed most of it. So this is a legitimate investment. And it's not just me saying that. It's not just a bunch of nerds saying, hey, invest in this and we'll build our market. It's not like that at all. This one here too, Doctor Strange. So you've got, you've seen what Doctor Strange has done in the movie theaters. I mean, it's
Yep.
incredible. These type of books are something that I think are, and these are all right now top loaded. These are not certified or
Right.
graded. And I did that, Pete and I are, I know that we are going to go with other certification companies, grading companies for signatures and everything else. But
you just showed the Warlock comic. Warlock. Well, in Comics Unlimited #1.
Yes, I know. Right.
There
Fantastic.
he is.
I'm glad you grabbed it.
Gil Kane artwork.
And I think that type of, when you really look at the marketplace, that's what's exciting. That I consider good speculation. And I know that's kind of hypocritical, but what I was going to say, let me talk about it from my standpoint. So, and you guys are all part of this because you guys have built my market for me as well, and I appreciate, or with me, I should say. When we got back from California, I made the announcement that we have a development deal with Craig Hall doing the script, which, by the way, here's the first episode here. We just got that.
Wow.
But anyway,
slab it.
Yeah, right. Well, there's already changes, but anyway,
well, slab it.
We just got it 2 days ago. It was already changed.
Get him to sign it with your signature and slab it.
But what I'm trying to get at is the speculation and that part for an indie comic creator, and I want you guys to really take this to heart. Speculation, when you have a development deal, is huge for all of us because once you've got one of us that can do that, the market opens up. And and everybody knows this, that hears me not brag, but just I'm excited about it. We've got investors now that buy my stuff because there's a potential deal that's going to happen in completion, even with all the books, everything I'm selling now. So, and it's not a false market. It's a market that it's a promotive market. That's speculation as well. So there are some good benefits to that. Am I going to slab everything out? No, because I want people to read the books. I'm still going to produce books, what they call in the raw, not me in the raw, but books in the raw, right? So that you have, sorry to disappoint, but you have, you've got to make sure that you've got books like this that are available to be read. I mean, this is a Neil Adams cover, but I'm just trying to show you that not everything has to be graded, but speculation's a very, like I said, slippery slope. You've got to be able to understand that markets ebb and flow and they balance. Sometimes you have like Warlock. These things are probably going to be priced out of the reach for a lot of people in the future quickly. And then it might correct itself after the movie. It's like, what was it? There was a couple different movies that happened recently, but that they didn't do very well in the box office but their comics soared and with investment, and then they dropped back down to where they should be. So it's all how you look at it when it comes to that. But one thing I was disappointed. Pete and I were both disappointed on the 9-0 on the Werewolf by Night, because we really are, both of everybody that we talked to that saw the book beforehand and after, we all felt that was a misgrading. We all felt it, and not just from a wallet standpoint, but just it's like you're being told, nope, sorry, there's the brass ring. Nope, sorry, we're going to move this. You can't have that now. That's not you.
Just to be devil's advocate a bit, it's like your house, isn't it? It's anything you've got, it's only worth what somebody will give you for it, right? So I'm not saying that's not a 9.6. I don't know, but if they've graded it that way, just because you're disappointed doesn't mean they're wrong. I'm not trying to cause an argument here. I'm just being devil's advocate.
I think that's a good point. That's why I'm trying to say it. Don't get lost in that. That's what I'm trying to. I'm saying the same thing you are. Don't. Yeah. You know what? It's still a valid grade. It's fantastic. It's a great comic, and we should be so happy with that. And we are. But when you get lost oh, look what I lost. Look what that.
Yeah.
That it's not the 8-year-old kid on the BMX bike
that's
with the Star Wars comic book in my back pocket. It's not that feeling anymore. That's what I'm saying. That's what I don't like.
The attitude is the glass half full, half empty, isn't it? But,
what a first world problem to have, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
How arrogant is that?
Yeah.
How arrogant is that? But that's the game that a lot of us have to kind of play.
Yeah.
It's like, but you know what? You can still open that first Star Wars book that taught you how to read. You
Yeah.
still have it there, and it's not slabbed, and you still have those memories. That's the thing about it.
Because don't forget, you've sold artwork. You've sold some of your artwork, and I've sold some of my artwork. And you want to get as much as you can for it. But when you close the sale and the guy takes it away, you think, oh, I probably could have got a bit more for that. But you couldn't. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, that's it.
If you'd have asked for more, he probably would have said no. Do you see what I mean? And
well, I mean,
so you got to be careful.
Just try not to get too lost in the money, and that's the thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Some of these, too, I'm going to show. Some of these I want to get slabbed because they're like it's pristine, and I think that we as a collectors, we need to do that to preserve these.
Look at what a fantastic logo as well.
Oh, I know, right? No, you're right, but these are, and I think it's an obligation that we have. We really do. So how do you balance that all out? How do you, like this one here is a prime example. Okay, so this, and I know you're not a big Ant-Man fan, but the movies are great. And this type of thing, I think Ant-Man's going to go a lot of different places. That's just me speculating. I don't know if I think that probably I'm going to slab, Pete, we're probably going to slab this one. Again, I think we're going to go with a different company, but there's some definite, things that we need to do to carry them over for the next generation. My son was very open about it. He says, I don't know if these will be worth anything to my generation. He said, it's different for, Glenn, it's different for you and Pete because your generation grew up with these and, this is it. And I'm like, okay, well, and I told you this, I said, I did him a disservice because I must not have been assertive enough about Jack Kirby and I said, so what I'll do is I'm going to show you the importance of it. And then you can do what you want with it. If you don't want to be part of that, that's fine. I don't want to force feed my son that, but there's certain things that he sees that are like, okay, I get it with the speculation where it could be worth that much money.
Yeah.
But he said, where does it change for my generation? I said, well, you have to find your own. I said, there might be something in here. I said, this Frank Miller might be a holy grail for you guys, and there's a lot of them out there. It's all
the thing about the speculation is that I remember reading a while back that Robert Redford, the actor.
Sure.
He was in All the President's Men with Dustin Hoffman. That was back in 1976, I think it came out.
Yep.
And I think we had a Johnny Carson guy over here. He's called Parkinson, and he interviewed Bob Redford about this film. And he said to Redford, you must have been really lucky to get the film rights from Woodward and Bernstein, and then this film really took off and blah blah blah. And he said, well, we were. He said, but what you've got to remember is that we buy 100 properties,
right,
and one is made.
Correct.
You'll know about that.
Development, development is development.
So Robert Redford said, and I think we all knew this, but he said, "Well, I didn't actually get it. My organization did. His producer, section of it. He said, but we buy books and things like that all the time. So that's the speculation. He bought that. He probably thought this is going to be good because he's going to be in it. He was a top actor, and then Dustin Hoffman's going to be in it, and it was the story of the day, and it's a fantastic story because it's real. It's a true story. Yeah, it makes it all the more chilling in a way. Yeah, because of what was going on. But that's the speculation. So in other words, he will, like Craig will have done this. He'll have produced things and bought scripts, and they go nowhere, and that money's gone. The writer gets the money, and that's the end of it. Yeah. That's the speculation. So if you're going to buy a comic book, you've got to try and tune in as to what you're buying. Do you want to save it because it might, or do you want to read the damn thing and have it on the coffee table and spill your tea on it? And the other thing is not every comic is going to be worth something 10 years from now. Exactly. Yeah. Just because you spent $2 on that comic, or say $7 now in today's world, it might not be worth $1 in 5 years. Some of these are 50 years old, some of these comics, and they've taken decades to get to the point where their value is increased exponentially.
okay, I'm going to read Pete's. He made 3 statements here, so bear with me. Well, it's not a matter of disappointment. We're disappointed because multiple experts looked at the book, and we're talking about the Werewolf by Night that he and I had done. As I dropped the plastic on the floor. Multiple experts looked at the comic before we sent it off, and we were in agreement. We sent it to some other experts,
Right.
and then it says it ends up coming back. Less than what multiple other experts agree on. And he says one has to wonder if there's an agenda with that company, and that's the thing. They're making a market, and that's what it makes a lot of sense to me. If it's true,
explain it to me, because I'm not saying they don't, because it seems to me like they do have an agenda, but what would that agenda be? How are they going to gain?
Now this is complete, again, speculating. I don't know if it's true or not, but just my mindset, that truthmonger mindset that we have. If I was building a company and I knew that, say that I had a bunch of these. Say I had a bunch of these were already graded at 9.8 that I own privately. 9.6 I own privately. And then all of a sudden you see all these pristine ones coming in. Oh, man. And I haven't released any of these 9.8s into the field yet to sell.
Got you.
Okay. Why would I?
Yeah.
What would be my move to make mine more valuable?
Yeah.
Now check this out. Now I've got an influx of all these 9.0s. Well, guess what? We're going to go in and buy them because they're all low. They're all low priced. They're on 9.6s. And then what if I go in and crack them and then recertify them at 9.6s, 9.8s? You see, it's a bait and switch. And I'm not saying that's might not be the case at all. But it's a terrible way to think, because I hope to God that that's not the case. But I've seen a lot of these. Grading things come in that are really, really low, and it really bothered me when I'm like, that's setting a market. That's not fair. That's not a fair, biased way. And it could be, like I said, it could just be somebody that's a little bit more strict on book on grading than the other, that day. I don't know. But that's Pete and I, that's just the way our minds work. And I'm not saying that's true, but it'd be really sad if it ended up becoming something that is a lot of people are thinking.
It's a shame all these things we do in life, and you always get greed coming in, and things always get messed up when people are involved, don't they?
Yeah. Here's one thing that Carl states: generations like different things. You mean my Diana Shore gramophone records aren't worth anything? They are worth something, actually. Hold on to those. Because the wax ones,
they're not worth anything. Send them to me, Carl. I'll get them for
Right. Yeah, we'll take them. You don't need it. Okay, Jody. Jody's, again, great points. But that point, experts are not the actual grading company's employees. Disappointment only comes because of the expectation, not on actual assessment. No different than home appraisals. That's a very good point. Mm-hmm. And there's so many hands in the pot. So, how do we, again, we're missing the whole point of comics at this point.
Yeah.
It's a commodity now. It's an expense. It's not the hobby that we love. And Pete and I we went kind of back and forth on it. And I'm like, I took a day and just kind of decompressed about it. And I'm like, yeah, we're missing the whole point. We're missing the whole point. How do we get past this?
You can't, and I'll give you an example from my own point of view. Some people in my family, when I publish one of my books and I give them all a copy, they ask me, is it signed? Because they want to know, they think that in 10 years' time, when I'm this mega famous author, it'll be worth something.
Yeah.
But they never read it.
Yeah. I think I've maybe sold 2 books that are signed. Everybody asks for my signature on everything. Even my prints. I've had people ask me to double sign my prints because my prints have a signature on it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, it's great. I don't mean that. And I'll sign whatever, but that's not a problem. But okay. So let's see what Ryan said. Ryan's new to the game. Ryan's kind of a new collector, and he's actually taken on a couple of the investment books that I've sold. which I appreciate kindly, that Pete and I have sold. Collecting comics should be fun, and if you get a graded comic, that's a nice bonus. That's how, and I agree. And they should present well. If you're buying it for yourself, you should have them up on the wall, unless they're so ungodly expensive, you need to put them in a vault.
Yeah.
And that's sad too. That's
So they
really
don't
sad.
fade.
Well, here, that's a good point. Let me tell you about something. And Pete, pipe up on this one. A lot of the grading companies, a lot of slabs don't have UV protectant.
Really?
So, and I'm currently, we are currently looking at only UV protected from this point on everything that we slab. I think it's a disservice if you do not have a UV protected product. I think it's a real disservice. What's the point of me even going with you? I'll keep it in a saran wrap. I'll keep it in an archival plastic.
Yeah.
I'll keep it in one of these. These ones are great too because you can pop them open and read your book anytime you want. I love that. You can't have any plastic on them, but that's. And I keep the first 2 prints that I ever did there. Everything that I've done is always first print, first one out of the box. Those are always accessible to the people that are family members, whatever they want to come get one. Come look at it and see what it was. The first printings, they're there so they can see them, and those will always be that. I want that type of availability for people. Okay, let me get back to what Jody was saying. Okay, so he was. Let me go back a little bit. He said, again, it has to deal more with expectation versus assessment. Yes, I have seen where assessments were way off, but this is a cash grab on both sides of the coin. More money for the new, and I agree with that. And more money because a new higher grade was introduced to the buying market. That's exactly what I'm saying. So if you stockpile a 9.8 and it's listed, but you don't have it you've got it so that everybody else has lower grades than that, you're producing your own market. You're raising your value of your book.
Yeah.
And that's not right. That's not fair market. I'm not saying that they're doing that, but
and they
it
sort of
seems to me
control it
like
as well,
it's
don't
like
they? So
it's like producing 100,000 copies and then oops, oh God, what a shame. 80,000 of them got burned. Sorry, there's only 20,000 left.
Yeah.
And you own them all. That's not right. I'm not saying that's the case either, but it makes you think. Okay, and then he finishes up. However, the accuracy in most grades is there. If that latter was the case, then there would be more gem mint 10s on the market. Again, it's about expectation, and I agree with you. That's a very good debate there. I don't think that I'm too far off of an idea. Because I know that and this has happened in all different kinds of markets. It doesn't matter if it's this or not. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. And I don't think it is. I hope it's not. Greed is a vicious mistress. Greed can be very bad. And I hope to God it doesn't ruin, a lot of grading for people, that they don't trust grading companies because they should be valid. They should be non-biased and they should be there for the public. As a safety net, so that hey, I'm buying this book. I know it's got white pages. I know I don't know who sold it to them, but I know that this. And the another thing too that CGC is changing is there's no notes. Another big problem. If I bought, you have to buy a subscription now to check your notes for your book. I mean, how's that supposed to help anybody? It's only supposed to help the sellers.
That's not right, is it?
Right? It's just not. I don't know.
That's the same as when we get leaflets through the door for a builder, and it says free quotes.
Yeah.
You're going to charge me for a quote on my roof.
Okay, you'll like this one. Carl said it's a bit like wine. Some drink it right away, some store wine, and some hold it until it turns into vinegar. I think I prefer to drink it right away. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Enjoy the moment. Open the comic book, read it.
When I went to Paris in 1982, I bought a bottle of champagne and I opened it about 2 years ago, and it was the most powerful alcoholic drink I've ever had. It was brilliant.
Yeah. And this is another thing too. I mean, I can still see those pre-embargo Cuban cigars that someone kept until they were sticks. Yeah. What a shame. Yeah. Look what I've got. You can't even smoke them anymore. So Just gonna leave that there.
Ryan, read this. You've got
Yes.
it. Read it.
So, I mean, I hope that, this isn't about bitching. It's not about trying to change or sway which company you grade with. Go do your thing. If you think that the book is worth it and it's important to you, that the next generation needs to keep it, then absolutely have it pressed, have it cleaned by a professional, have it graded if you want. It is a big investment. And really do your homework on the different grading companies. There's a lot of them out there. Pete and I have gone through a lot of different ideas of who we're going to have grade our major grails now, and I think that that's really important. I think it's something that we need to do, but I also think that selling raw copies of comics is very important too.
Yeah.
I think that selling them like this out of, in plastic, obviously with boards, but have them on Facebook Marketplace that are affordable. Have them so that they're obtainable, so that people can afford them. You're not blowing the market for them.
I think it'd be really sad if either an adult took their 8-year-old or the 8-year-old went with a view of slabbing it to the comic, buying the comic to slab it.
Yeah,
because that's not what they're about. They're there to be read, aren't they, and thrown around and do whatever.
Yeah, and like I said, if you want to buy 2 of them and slab one of them, go ahead. But I think that you're missing the whole.
Yeah, but it's like we said before about the
forest
speculation.
For the trees, right?
It's like you said about the speculation that comes into that, because if you went in the comic shop and if I went to Forbidden Planet and bought a copy of every issue of everything that was there, they'd love me, wouldn't they? Because it'd be thousands of pounds. But from my point of view, none of them are going to be worth anything. Do you understand what I mean? So you've got to be careful with it.
And that's this is how long are we keeping them for? Who are we keeping them for? You have to make that statement. I think that I think that the speculation of it all with movies and everything else, and that's just part of the market. You're going to have ebb and flow, and that's it. I already read and watched the documentary, Glenn. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. And I did too, man. It's a great, I'm telling you, it sets a standard of what documentary is going to be about. So Jody says CGC stance on notes is not novice friendly. And that's true. So if you're starting out and you don't know, and you're at a Comic-Con, you're trying to buy a slab and you're looking through your phone now, and you have to have an account with CGC to see the notes on this book. You won't know what this book has on it at all because there's no notes except the white pages. That's it. Okay, great. But that's to the advantage of the seller. It's not disclosed. It puts the burden on the proof on the seller to provide more information. I agree. And you know what? That tells me a lot about the seller if they don't have it written down. Say, hey, this is the code to get in. This is the notes. You can check it. But this is what I've already done for you. Here you go. Yeah. Most people who slab books have a subscription. They can provide information. Well, and they should. I think that if they do that, I'm not going to pay $25 a year to check my notes on this. It's not going to happen.
No,
I'm very disappointed in that. I think that was a very selfish move on their part. Sorry, but that's my stance on it.
That's all right.
But having said that, I'll make sure that somebody that's got a subscription will let me know what the notes are stating, because I think it's wrong. I know that book is fabulous, and it came out of our private collection. So I even did a show on how you can get into the notes. Problem is that the new policy is not novice friendly. If you are new, you're coming out of more money to have. Yeah, I agree. And it's too bad. It doesn't have to be like that. I think it
can't be right. I can't see how they can survive with that attitude. If that's their agenda.
That put a huge, a lot of people were upset with that. And YouTube is full of videos now about people throwing them under the bus for making that decision. Very almost arrogant decision. And it's a shame. But I do think it's a leveler now. I think people are going to really look at other grading companies and really say, hey, okay, what's really important? maybe we should just sell them raw now. And then if
Yeah.
people want to, but I think that there are some archival things that we need to do. And Pete and I believe in that. We think that when they're in such a pristine shape, they're not reader copies. They're copies that we think that there's probably only maybe a handful of them. We think we should invest in it and try to have it so that people have that. My son said he calls it an Armageddon purchase. I said, what's that? He says, because if we have a meteor and you see it coming down, he says, you know what I'm going to do with all those slabs if I own them? He said, I'm going to crack them open. I'm going to read every single one of them, because that's the type of. And I think that there's a lot of people probably do that. I could see a whole nerdy movie about the end of times, and all these guys are just cracking open all these perfect books, reading them.
Yeah, well, the twist would be that they weren't the ones that they had slabbed, because there'd be nothing inside them. That would be the twist. The guy kept them and gave them just a slab with the cover on.
So I mean, when you're looking at comics, get what you think's right. If you want a variant comic, go ahead. If you want to slab it, great, whatever. But read the comics.
Yeah, enjoy the comic. Enjoy the artwork.
Yes.
Look at it. Just look at it, and just look at what.
And there's
what we
listen.
love,
And you know what? There's not a boogeyman. CGC's fine. CGC's fine. They're a business like any other, and it just really, and they have a huge market share on this. So maybe they make mistakes too, and that happens. So, and then that's the way you need to look at it. So, you decide. We're just putting the information out there. My experience wasn't good, and I know that Pete and I are reevaluating what we're going to be doing for grading, but that's just us. And I'm not trying to make it sound like there's some kind of conspiracy. There's not, I'm sure, but that's the way my mind works, as just analyzing
as a truth monger.
Yeah, right. And I wear that badge proudly. Let's see.
Speaking of badges, I told you, didn't I? Speaking of badges,
yeah.
This is yours.
You got one for me. Thank you.
This is yours.
Appreciate that.
And this one is mine.
That's awesome. Thanks, man. It's only going to cost like $500 to get it here. Awesome.
Yeah.
Ryan Permissive, anytime I'm unsure of what slab to get, I am glad that I have a source I can go to make sure that choose wisely. I'm looking at the rising. Yeah, good. Please do. Because I think that your local comic book shop is excellent. That gentleman, whoever, or the gentlewoman, whatever, she's selling good products very cost effectively. He's told us a couple times that I was tempted to get a hold of that company, because they sound like they're pretty good to their public. Jody says, I'm not sure, or I'm not one of them. Again, you as the buyer should demand more from the seller. I agree. CGC was not meant to aid resellers. Most of these YouTubers miss that point. Again, this is why I speak on this topic. Yeah, and I agree. And I really respect Jody, his position on a lot of this. I know we're running over an hour, guys. Thanks for sticking with us. Let's see. And then Carl says, the stuff they don't want you to know podcast would call you a conspiracy realist. Interesting. Well, and I think that, listen, markets are we see it in the stock market. You see insider trading. You see all these things all over the course of the last century of what has happened. Markets get adjusted, and that's the way it is. Greed is, like I said, a very fickle mistress. So you've got to be really careful about what you're buying, even if it's a raw copy. Find out. Look at the corners. Look at the spine ticks. Look at the things that are there. And try to buy from a reputable, people that really do care. I mean, that's one thing that, you and I, Glenn, with the Comics Unlimited, the books, we're so passionate about it. I mean, the book itself is it's noteworthy to be put on a bookshelf. I mean, that's a big thing, and not every comic book is, but I think that if you find something you really enjoy and you really want to be part of that, and you're reading it, that's the important part.
The mission statement, as it were, for Comics Unlimited is to basically find comics and enjoy them. And the articles that we write cover all of it. Superheroes and British comics,
Sure.
the Beano and all this war comics and all this kind of thing. And there's such a wealth of artwork and stories out there. Like I've said to you before on this program, there's 150 years of British comics to look at.
Yeah,
there's 150 years of American
yeah.
comics to look at. Then we've got manga, we've got everywhere. We will never
indie,
cover it.
Yeah.
We'll never, in India as well. We'll never cover it, and that's a great thing that we will never cover it. I mean, if we live to be 6,000 years old, we'll still be publishing stories and artwork. And it's fantastic.
And Jody, since you're on the call, he's also got an article in the new book as well.
Yep.
Number 9, about Amazons, actually. And it is really enlightening. And it talks about his new book, a new series with the Amazonia. So I think that that's a good way to end the show, I think. Glenn, thank you. Pete, I'm sorry we couldn't have you on the show, man. I'm glad that you're in the queue. I'm glad that we talked a little bit about it. And like I said, just enjoy your books. Try to enjoy the comics. Go out, buy new ones. Go find old ones in the dollar bin. Just enjoy them. Don't worry about slabbing. If it's something that you're interested in, or if you want to hear a little bit more about it or my experience on it, by all means, message me. Check them all out. See what's available, because you might have a really good experience with a company has been doing slabbing for a long time and grading. But evaluate it on your terms, on your economics and your result of what book that you have, if you want to get them invested in slabbing. But if not, get the books to read and enjoy, and get excited about it. Once you start losing that excitement, it's for naught, right?
That's right.
Look at this. Look at this guy. He's 67 years old. He's got books from when he was 14. That's all I got to say. I've got books here that are older than me. I've got books that are older than me, and it's even behind me, even like hardback books that are older than me that are. I've been blessed. I've been so blessed by it. But that's the weirdness I am. So, but you know what? You notice none of these are in plastic. Crack those every once in a while. I'll crack one of them open. I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about that.
That's what they're for. Enjoy them.
Comics a little bit different. They're a little bit more tender when you're opening and closing them. So you got to be be careful.
Just enjoy it. Just enjoy it.
And if it weren't for these books, we wouldn't have these amazing movies now. So again, speculation. What's coming out? Get excited. But remember the story.
What did they say? You've got to speculate to accumulate.
Yeah.
So,
but do it in a way that's healthy, and do it in a way that's enjoyable, and do it in a way that you can be part of a bigger group. Bigger, even with your kids or anything else. If you're blessed with having kids, and it's so enjoyable. It's so enjoyable to be, especially in this era right now, of all the different things that we're able to be part of, seeing these come to life, even if they're not exactly to what the book is, whatever. That's adaptation. And that's a whole nother story too. That's a whole nother show, adaptions. So, appreciate you, man. Thank you for allowing me to do this with you, and appreciate everybody stopping in. You guys check out everything doing. Go get a copy of Comics Unlimited on Amazon under Glenn B. Fleming. That one's number 9.
Yeah, all the issues are there, and you can get other stuff too. So go check
print
it out.
Print or digital, and we'd love the support. It helps us out. If you guys are looking for advertising for your companies or your books that are coming out in that, message us. We've got a few things that are available to the market, and let us know. We'd love to help you out. See if you can't get in this international book, and show some people what
we're in New Zealand now.
Yeah, right. That's only one of them. Gosh.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, guys, have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. Thanks again, guys, for stopping in. And I'm going to try the intro here. We'll talk to you later. Thanks, Glenn.
See you.
Welcome to the Comics Unlimited podcast with your hosts, Glenn B. Fleming and Ted Davis.